Today, we're going to talk about how to utilize debt to make more money. Welcome to Achieving Success Through Failure. So, before we even try to understand how to make more money with debt, we talked about previously on looking at our finances. When we're able to arrange our balance sheet in order to make sure we have a savings generated, or what we would say as an investment. But the question is, what do we do with the money? If you take a look at it, if you're able to save $1,000 a month, you'll save out $12,000 a year. But how long does it take for me to save $1,000,000? Well, technically, it would actually take you 83 years. That's a long time. And if you take a look at how much inflation is, by the time you actually save $1,000,000, that $1,000,000 would be worth a lot less in the future. So, how about looking if we actually invested the money? Well, if you invested the money that you save, let's put it at $1,000 a month, and you have a projection of 30 years, and the rate of return per year is 4%, and you will have compound interest. Looking at this website in which we input the data, you could actually see you didn't even reach $1,000,000. You only made around $670,000. So, how do I actually save up for retirement? Well, good question. Now we're actually going to talk about how to actually utilize debt. We talked about debt previously as good and bad debt. Before we go to good debt, let's talk about bad debt. Bad debt is everything that basically takes money out of your pocket. These are what we call liabilities. If you are buying luxury items and you're paying it on a monthly basis, it basically defeats the purpose of you buying the luxury item, which means that is bad debt. Good debt are basically investments. Investments which generate more money than what you basically borrowed. It basically gives you leverage. So let's look at the numbers. The power of debt and leverage. So let's look at it. So if I had 100,000 and you make and invest it and make 10% interest, then in a year you would have $110,000. That's $10,000 of interest. However, if you use leverage and use it as a deposit, as a 20% down on an investment, then you would be able to control a $500,000 investment. $500,000, a 10% rate of return in 1 year is $550,000, giving you a $50,000 return. Debt basically allows you to control a larger asset without paying for it completely. So if you look at a 20% down payment, it gives you 5x asset control and a rate of return. If you actually lower down your down payment, you actually have more asset control and you got a 20x rate of return. However, two things to consider. A lower down payment actually increases your mortgage. For the deal to work, this means that the math and computation of the investment should still allow you to cash flow if you have a positive net income. Number two, whenever leverage is utilized, investment risk is also multiplied. So let's look at an investment property that we checked out in biggerpockets.com, and this was a deal that we analyzed back in January of 2020. So this is a 3-bed, 2-bath house in Scottsdale, Arizona. And these are the numbers that we look at. So cash on cash return was 7.49%, but this is with traditional financing in which you basically put a 20% down or $110,000. So that was the purchase price. And if we look at it, was it a good deal? Looking back. So currently it actually has made $586,000, 500, around $60,000 in equity generated in just 6 months. Here are a couple of pictures of the house. And again, looking at the price and the equity generated, you could see that the investment basically, just with the equity alone, even with a 20% down payment, generated you close to 60%. So if we update the analysis and look at the current rental income it will bring, this has now actually increased from our previous estimate of $3,500 to $3,800. This basically does a comps of the surrounding area. And if we update it and analyze it, it now brings it up to a 10.27 ROI. So in that aspect, you are now in less than 6 months, basically would have gotten 70% rate of return on a $105,000 investment. So let's look at it if we actually did a full cash purchase, meaning we paid $525,000. The monthly cash flow would be $2,814. However, your cash-on-cash return is only 6.43%. So basically, you are going to get a lot more money, but then you'll have to spend more to acquire the property. So let's make adjustments. What if we actually had 0% down, paid $5,000 for the closing cost? Our ROI would be now 100.74%. And if you actually add the increase in equity that was generated, which is around $61,500, that basically increases your rate of return to $1,230 based on a $5,000 closing cost at 0% down. So technically your total is going to be around $1,300 rate of return. So the power of depth can be harvested through creative finance. So let's say you borrow $1 million and you have a 10% rate of return. That's 10%, which is $100,000. So it depends on how a deal is structured. Finance should not be a limitation to a great deal. So if you have a deal and you need $1 million on a deal that basically will make you $300,000 or 30%, would not be interested. So if you borrow $1 million with 10% interest, but your deal will provide 30% return, the spread is 20% or $200,000. So depth can be a great way to scale. Be either the lender or the borrower, but be part of a good deal. So to summarize, what are the lessons we've learned? Number 1, learn the power of leverage and good depth. Number 2, understand the business before investing so risk can be mitigated. Number 3, learn from those who have been successful. So this is Paulo Prado. Thank you for watching the video. Please click the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.